Welcome back to episode 299 of the Tall Boy Radio podcast. And as we always say, who knows where it goes when that there beer flows? Well, today we might just be touching on a little bit of hunting. But here's a man next to me who's always on the hunt for information. Wherever he goes, you always hear people yell, "Fact hunt," don't they? That's ironic coming from me.
Yeah, evening all, evening Will. Really, you've just thrown that at me? Seriously, dude? Like, pull up a mirror, kid. Come on, man. But no, I hope you're all well out there in listener land and life is treating you well. We have an amazing guest on. He's been on with us a couple of times before. We keep in touch with them sort of much more regularly as such, but I'm really looking forward to this. It's a topic really that I don't know a lot about because we don't really see it in our country. And as you said, I'm always on the hunt for facts. So let's see where we go.
Indeed. I apologize for that one. It's very hypocritical coming from me, Gazza. But here's a man, he's been on before, but we've never had him on by himself. And he's talking, well, from his own perspective, from his own podcast now. Johnny Simo, do you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself and your podcast?
What's up, guys? Hey, man, I appreciate the invite. It was a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on. And if you would have told me 3 years ago, the last time I was on your all's podcast with Todd Orndorf, that I would one day have my own podcast, I would have said, "Nah, you're full of shit. That's not going to happen." But here we are. We just dropped a 74 episode Friday night, so it's been a lot of fun. The whole podcast game, like with you all. Getting to meet you, that's how I met you guys. You know what I mean? And we've met some pretty incredible people. And I've got Mike Wilson and Chris Stivers, who are my co-hosts on the Average Joe's Hunting Podcast. And, dude, we've been having a ball with it. We really have. So, again, I appreciate you having me on, man. It means a lot.
Oh, dude, no, absolute honor. And like you say, it's an opportunity for us, as Gaz said there, to find out something that we don't know an awful lot about, whereas you guys over there, you got a heck of a lot of experience about it. And obviously now you got your own podcast, it's a great opportunity to share out, hopefully to an English audience who can get on board with it. But as Todd told us, because Todd was on our episode, I don't know, maybe 292, was it?
Yeah,
a couple of
something
episodes
like that,
ago. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about it, because it's quite a unique take on, even from a hunting perspective. What's your take on it?
Well, me, I grew up hunting. I've been hunting since I was 12 years old. I remember my earliest memories. I remember my grandfather, going hunting. My grandfather Markham going out hunting, and he'd come back with a turkey, a deer, or even if he went out on a fishing trip and coming back with fish, he always had deer heads on the wall and his pike on the wall. And that's just something I remembered, back in the day, right around Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving back then, that right around that time was when everybody went hunting. You went rifle hunting. And it's just something that you looked forward to, and you actually knew once Thanksgiving week rolls around, you're hunting and you want to kill a whitetail to put meat in your freezer. I grew up eating deer meat, and that is an absolute staple in my house. My daughter's been eating deer meat since she's been able to chew meat. And I got a funny story about my daughter. If it was deer meat, she's tearing it up. Well, I remember I was fixing just regular old steak one time. She said, "No, Daddy, I don't want that." I said, "Babe, it's the same." And she said, "No, Daddy, I don't want it." So the next time I cooked steak, I just told her, I said, "Babe, this is deer meat." And, well, it was steak, fixed it. She tore it up. And I was like, "All right, babe, I just want you to know that was just regular steak. So now you like it." It's just how I grew up. That is a staple of our diet. You grind it up, whatever, throw it on the grill. I have I kind of have a tradition. If I'm able to harvest a deer, kill a deer, whatever, that day, once I get it skinned out and processed, that day, a tenderloin, a chunk of the tenderloin, which is around your backbone, they call it back straps, but
yeah,
that goes on the grill that day. Plain and simple. That's a tradition. If I'm fortunate enough to kill a deer, that we're eating tenderloin that night.
Wow. And I bet that tastes good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. I mean, it's better than anything you can buy in the store. It's lean. It's not processed.
Yeah.
There's no steroids injected into it and all this other crap. But no, like I said, I just grew up that way, and I continue to do my best to harvest between deer and turkey. I love turkey season too. Wild turkey is amazing. But yeah, I mean that's just how I was raised and how I continue to keep going.
No, fair play. So, I mean, so your podcast as well, and that's where it comes from, isn't it? So effectively, it's called Average Joe's Hunting Podcast, and the concept behind it is it's not these big trophy hunters who go traveling the world and shooting these incredible animals in Africa or what have you. It's just for the guy out there who just wants to put some meat in his freezer. Am I right in saying?
Exactly. That's 100% the what's the word I'm looking for? The vision that we wanted to go. I mean, I don't get to listen to podcasts very much anymore because used to be I worked by myself. Well, now in the shop there's 3 other guys in there, so they're always talking, whatever. But when I listen to them all the time, yeah, you got these guys out here that are going to shoot 200-inch whitetails. Well, everybody and their brother wanted to have them on a podcast, and that's cool. But no, we want your average guys. If you're sitting in the tree stand and this is your first deer, I don't care if it's your 50th deer. If it gets you excited and it's a 4-pointer, we want to hear that story because every hunt has a story.
Yeah.
And regardless, even if it's successful or not, I mean, we've had some stories where guys did not, they missed, but it was a great dang-on story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just out of interest then, just to pull it, so for our UK listeners, tell us what a 4-pointer is, dude, because there might be people out there who aren't familiar with that.
All right, so your male deer, they're called bucks. They could have just one horn come up on the left side and one horn come up on the right. That would be called a spike. Well, if that spike splits and he has 2 points on each side, that would be a 4-pointer. And then did you go from there? You have your 6s. It could be a 6, 8. I don't know if you can see that deer right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That deer right there is actually 24 points.
Wow.
He has 24 stickers on him. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not bragging. That is not a hunted deer. That was a high fence deer. So there's no hunt involved in that. That was you pay, you go kill a deer, and you get the meat. And then you put it on the wall. So there's no hunting involved in that deer. So I'm not trying to brag and say, oh, yeah, I killed a 24-pointer. But no, and you have those here, in the States. You have high fence hunts where they're enclosed. They raise them to be humongous, and then you pay to go shoot them.
Yeah. Right.
But
So
that's not fair game, though. I mean, that's just like shooting fish in a barrel. That's not fair game.
Yeah. I was just going to ask again, predominantly really for our UK listeners, in terms of sort of people going out and hunting, is there, I mean, I'm assuming that there are sort of laws that you have to abide by, or are there limits, are there specific areas, or literally can you just put a rifle on your back and just go and hunt wherever you want to?
No, here in Virginia, you obviously you have limits. When I buy my hunting license, I get 2 bucks, which is 2 males with antlers. Okay, I get 2 bucks and 3 does, which are the females. Right. They're antlerless deer. That's what I get on my license. And hunting season, actually, right now in Virginia, hunting season is open as far as urban archery. Like here in the city where I live, I can actually go hunt right now, but I normally wait until the regular archery season because I do most of my hunting in Augusta County. So like I said, we get 2 bucks and 3 does. If you fill those, you can go back and get bonus tags, which will give you 4 more does, which is antlerless only. We're only allowed 2 bucks period per year. That's it. That's all you get.
Right. Okay.
Excuse me.
And how do they monitor that then?
If you harvest a deer on your license, you have to call it in. You notch your tag. You call the DNR. You check in that deer, and they give you a confirmation number that you put on your license.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's as you'd expect, it's quite licensed there. You know what I mean? So if you've only got two. So if you are, say, you're a trophy hunter, dude, and you want to go like a 24 point you're on out there, you take it out a while in fair game. You're going to be pretty selective if you can only take two on you. Maybe you'll take the first one you see, but that second one you're going to be holding fire a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't hunt that much last year. That last season, I went hunting a little bit, just personal reasons, family and stuff like that. And my buddy who owns the farm ends up, he's still pretty sick, and I just was bummed out. So I ended up shooting a little basket rack 8-pointer, about like that, and I got pretty selective after that. I'm like, I had several opportunities to kill, 4 more just like him. But I was like, you know what? I've got some meat. I'll wait, and and I ended up eating that tag because I never did see one bigger.
So I mean, tell us a little bit then, dude. Well, like for us here in the UK, this is entirely alien to us, then, dude. Tell us what does it look? What does a hunt look like? What are you taking with you? Tell us about your setup when you're out and about.
So the farm I hunt hardwoods, which we just woods, and then we have a big pasture field out in front of me where they'll come out in the evenings. We can put up a tree stand. Like last year, I hunted predominantly out of just a hunting blind. It's a pop-up, canvas hunting blind that all 4 sides fold out, the top folds out, and you just get inside of it, and it gives you, range of view out in front of you. And that's where I hunted at mostly last year, was in the hayfield, and saw deer just about every day. I was selective, and funny story, Mike and Chris, if you ever listen to the podcast, they're always going to give me hell because I was sitting there one evening and had a bunch of doe out in front of me, and I had one that was coming up to my right, to my side, and it was close. I mean, she was only like 60 yards away, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take her. Well, I put my gun up, and it's hard to explain. In the blind, you have 2 bars. They're like flexible fiberglass arms. That's what holds the sides up and holds the side out. Okay. Well, I had put my gun on that arm, and I knew it was outside the blind. It was no problem. But when I pulled that trigger, the gun went off. Well, the doe took off. Well, the next thing I know, I see my blind arm falling. I somehow shot my freaking blind arm in half. I still, to this day, I still do not know how in the hell I did that. But yeah, I shot my blind. So Mike and Chris, every chance they get, they give me hell for it. I still don't know how I did it, honestly.
And rightly so as well, dude. Rightly so. We wouldn't let each other look up and down.
So in terms of sort of, you say you've got your limit. So you've got sort of a couple of male and then sort of 4 female. How often would people how regularly do they go and hunt? And what would happen then? So you go hunting, and I'm assuming there'll be lots of occasions then when you actually don't come back with anything. Is it just a case of almost searching for that one that you want to take? Is that part of the hunt as such?
That all depends on the hunter. I mean, for me, last year was different, but for me, any other year, if it's a legal deer, I'm going to put that deer in my freezer.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot it because, like I said, deer meat for us have been a staple, my whole life. So for me, I'm not necessarily going out there. I don't need to shoot the biggest buck there is.
Right.
Granted, if I kill my limit on does and I kill a smaller buck and I have 1 buck tag left, then yeah, I might get a little more particular, but I will always go back and get extra doe tags. Like this year is the first year that the DNR here in Virginia have changed the rules. Normally during rifle season, we have 2 weeks of rifle season. That's where, all right, so we have a bow season that comes in first. That comes in next month. Yeah. We have a bow season, and then we'll have a 2-week, what's called muzzleloader season, which is muzzleloader where it's got to be a front loader like the old time flintlock, like that. Of course, they've made advancements now. They're not like that anymore. You can take 250-yard shots with muzzle loaders nowadays. And then you had your 2-week rifle season. Well, this year here in Virginia, they have added 4 weeks of rifle season, and you can kill a doe every day. It used to be, during that 2-week time, you might have 3 days that you could shoot a doe.
Right.
Any other time it had to be a buck only. But they've changed it this year where we have actually a 4-week rifle season, and you can kill 2 deer a day and does every day. So I'm hoping, I got my fingers crossed, I'm hoping to put some meat in my freezer this year.
How much meat do you put in your freezer then from one deer on average? And how many meals is that?
So it depends on how you process this. A lot of it I'll grind up into burger. And I know one year, so the past 3 years haven't been that good for me because I lost the property. I gained this property back that I have now. On average, I would be comfortable if I put 6 deer in my freezer.
Right.
And I mean, we did 110 pounds of deer burger. Was it 3 years ago? We ground up 110 pounds of deer burger, and then you slice up your steaks. Normally, I'll take my hams, which is the back hindquarters. I'll take that, and that's what I'll usually make my jerky out of, or roast, or what have you. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't I send you all some jerky?
No, dude. No, you didn't do it.
Oh, no. Man, I'm sorry. I thought I did. That's my bad. All right, I know I sent you reload, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely sent us reload.
Reload was good.
Yeah. For some reason in my head, I was thinking I sent you all some jerky, but actually I'm glad I didn't because my co-host Mike and Chris, they've never had it either, and they're still pretty pissed off at me about that.
One day, Johnny, we'll travel out there and we'll have it in Virginia.
Oh no, I'll ship it, baby. I'm telling you, you let my plans, come to fruition this year for, this year's rifle season. I'll have plenty of deer meat. I'll send you some. Don't worry.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. We'll gladly eat that.
Yeah, we'll accept that. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just out of interest, then, dude. So, like you said, it's been a part of your family for a long, long time, and it's been a part of your life for a long, long time. Can you tell us about can you remember your first kill?
Yes, I do. It was a 3-pointer. I think I was 12 years old. I was living in West Virginia, and we went out. My old man, Ricky, he worked at a power company up on Mount Storm. There's a place called Mount Storm, West Virginia, excuse me. And he took me out. I think that was my very first time ever going hunting, and I actually sat by myself. And a little 3-pointer came out, and I shot it, and I'm going to tell you what, I was happy as could be.
Wow.
And that was with a rifle back then, In West Virginia, it's so big in West Virginia, the first week of rifle season there, they actually shut the school down. You don't have school that week. The first week of rifle season, you don't have school. That's just how big it was in West Virginia.
Wow.
Imagine that, dude, closing your school down.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man. So am I right in saying then, dude, there's a specific place where you have to shoot that deer as well? Because, am I right in saying that, like, if the adrenaline gets in when you hit it, that it can ruin the meat? Is that correct?
No, I don't think it's going to ruin the meat. Now, if you take a gut shot on a deer, like you hit it far back and you end up getting in its guts and its stomach, and it gets away from you and you don't find it until maybe 24 hours later, that meat could very well be tainted. But as far as you shooting it, and if it's a good shot and it doesn't go far and you find it within a couple of hours, even with a gut shot deer, and I don't know, your listeners may not like my description of the shot, but if you get that deer and it has been gut shot, as long as you can get it home, get it washed out, it's not going to hurt the meat. But if it goes 24 hours or more, then you might have trouble with it.
It is interesting to me, the different take on it. So where we live here, we're about 20 miles from Tatton Park, and the deer there, they roam wild. I'm not going to suggest you can go up and stroke them, but they're pretty tame. You can pretty much walk up to them, dude, getting within a couple of feet. Wouldn't necessarily recommend it because they can get territorial at different times of the year. But honestly, these are huge beasts. So I was walking around Tatton Park, and I took a picture of one of these huge deers, and I sent it to my cousin in Texas, and I got a text back about 3 minutes later with an X put on it saying this is the perfect place to shoot it.
That's right. You're probably right behind the shoulder.
Yeah.
And right behind the shoulder.
Yeah, it's a different take. So that first deer you shot then, dude, what was your emotions like, just out of interest?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you now, I was ecstatic. Hell, I was probably ready to cry. I mean, I've been, like I said, I've hunted for several years. Well, 2005, like I said, I don't know how old I was then, but I mean, I'm coming on 55 this year. 2005, I shot a buck. It was an 11-pointer. It was the biggest deer I'd ever shot at that time, and I call that buck the Dreamer buck because my wife's name is Dreamer, and I remember the first day of rifle season in 2005, I was sick. The alarm clock went off. I woke up and I told my wife, I said, babe, I'm not feeling it. I said, I'm going back to bed. Well, she woke me up like 30 minutes later and she says, babe, she goes, do you know how mad you're going to be that you missed the first day of rifle season?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, babe, you know what? You're right. Let me get up. I got up, threw my clothes on, rushed out the house, and because I was running late, I went to a different farm that I had never. This was the first year I picked up this particular farm, and I've never hunted there before at that time. And I went out, I got set up by a tree. 7:15, I looked to my left, and this was like you could have cattle out in front of you on this farm. Luckily, this morning they were behind me on the other property that was behind me, but I remember looking to my left, and I'm like, I see a silhouette over here, and I went, oh, that's just a freaking cow. Turned back around, whatever. Well, the next thing I know, this thing is walking down on this bottom in front of me, and I'm like, holy shit, that's a buck. So I remember he got out in front of me. I took a shot. Adrenaline. I'm rushing. I shot. He jumps. He takes off running. I'm like, crap, I missed him. So he gets out there. At this point, he's probably about 150 yards away. I throw another round at him. He doesn't move. He just stands there and looks around. I'm like, well, shit, I must be shooting over his back. So the next shot, I put it right behind his shoulder. I shot. He mule kicked, and I knew I had him then. And then when I got to him, I called my wife. And she would tell the same story. I called my wife and I said, babe, I was bawling. I said, babe, I got one for the wall. I've got one for the wall. I had no shame in me, man. I don't mind. You guys know me. I don't give a shit. I'll tell you, I was crying.
Oh, no, we know that, dude. Yeah, we know that. How'd you get it shifted then? Something of that size, dude. How'd you get it shifted from where you've shot it?
Say again?
How'd you move once you've shot it, how'd you get it moved? How'd you get it picked up?
Oh, luckily the farms I've been fortunate to hunt, I can drive my vehicle right to where they're at. I don't have to drag them. These guys, props off, my hat's off to you guys that go in a mile into the woods and you have to drag these deer out of the woods. My hat's off to you. My old ass, lazy ass can't do that shit no more. When I shot this one, I gutted it right where I field dressed it right where it was at and went and got my I had a GMC Jimmy at the time and drove right to it. Now, he was a big deer. I had a hell of a time, and back then in 2005, I'm a lot bigger than I am now, and I had a hell of a time getting that thing. He was the biggest body deer, even to this date, except for the one from PA, biggest body deer I'd ever shot. He was huge. I had a hell of a time getting that thing up in the back of my Blazer by myself.
Wow. Yeah. What do you mean by field dressing it then, dude, for the uninitiated? For our listeners, of course, not for me and Gary, who obviously know what that means.
Yeah.
Field dressing is where you cut its stomach open and you take out its innards. You pull out the heart, the lungs, its guts. You pull out its butthole tract. I don't know the proper term. and just cleaning out the inside of it.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Hold on, locked up on me. Locked up
no.
on me,
We're
fellas.
Oh,
Oh, there we
yeah,
go.
no. I don't know what happened there. Oh, no, I was just going to say, and you do that right there and then, do you? So it's not that you get him into your vehicle and then you do that later. You just do that right there at that place where you shot it.
I do. I mean, I do it that way. Where I hunt at now, I will maybe move it to a different location. Obviously, if it drops right there by my tree stand, I don't want to field dress it right there because you're going to have that, the innards of a deer right there around your hunting stand.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll take it and move it to a different location and then field dress it from there. But
Right.
yeah, like I said, obviously you don't want to do that right by your tree stand. If you shoot one and it drops, then I will definitely drag it out and move it away from my stand because I don't want to taint my stand for, the next weekend or whatever.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of then, you say you sometimes you shoot them, then they take off, and it might be a period of time after that you then go and find it. Sort of how long, or what's the longest time that you effectively have sort of stalked a deer, shot it, and then it's either taken off and then later on you found it, sort of thing, or you come across it and and how can you be sure that it's the one that you've shot? Because I'm assuming that, as you've just said, everybody goes out there and hunting season is probably quite busy. So, what's the furthest you've ever been and waited, sort of thing?
I've waited 24 hours before and
Wow.
recovered my deer. Now, obviously, if you're doing this, if you shoot one and you take that chance, if you don't find it, if it's 80 degrees outside and you have to wait 24 hours, chances are that meat's not going to be any good.
But yeah,
because it's going to spoil. As far as your question about how do you know it's yours? Well, obviously, if one is a buck, you're going to know that buck because it's ingrained in your head. When you take that shot, you know what that deer looked like.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a doe, I mean, obviously, you follow a blood trail,
Right.
and hopefully you get a good enough shot that it gives you a good blood trail that you can follow and pick up that deer. So it's going to be about 95% sure that that's going to be your deer if you're following a blood trail.
Yeah.
I've had the
Sorry, Johnny. Just curious then, if it is very busy, have you ever, maybe you personally have heard stories where sort of hunters get into perhaps disagreements as to actually, is that yours or is that mine? Because I can imagine, I mean, I don't know how big West Virginia is, but I can imagine it being quite big. But
like you and Todd and golf balls.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it'd be like, no, that was mine. No, that was mine. And do you get disagreements? Because I can imagine there's lots of hunters out there.
Absolutely, it happens every year. To me, it actually happened to me last year at family hunting camp. In West Virginia. I hadn't hunted with my family from West Virginia in 30 years. And then, everybody, me and my brother, we've mended our ways and got back together. And I'm so thankful for that. And so I went to West Virginia hunt camp last year with them, and I actually shot a really nice 8-pointer. I knew I shot it. I knew I hit it, but it didn't go down. Well, my little cousin, he was sitting below me about 100 yards or so. Well, I heard him shoot. I heard him shoot again, and he dropped a deer. For me, if you drop that deer, if you put that deer down, that's your deer. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care if I shot it first. I don't care if my shot was going to be a kill shot or not. I may not have found that deer. He shot that deer. He dropped it where it stood. That was his deer, and it was a beautiful 8-pointer, and I was so tickled for him. He's 16 years old, the biggest deer he had ever shot. Dude, I'm high-fiving him, just telling him congratulations. Yeah, there's no way I would ever do an argument about that. As far as I'm concerned, whoever drops that deer, that's their deer. I don't care where I shot it or where anybody else shoots it. If you shoot it and it drops, that's your deer.
Wow.
No, fair play. So then, me and Gaz rock up in Virginia. It's hunting season, dude. You're taking us hunting. We've got our license. We're doing it all legally. We've been sensible.
Yeah.
We're Tallboy ready. We do things properly most of the time, just not podcasting. So what are you teaching us, dude? What are the fundamentals that we would need to know?
Weapon control. Make sure you know how to safely handle a weapon. Make sure you know what a safety is. Make sure you never point your gun barrel until you're ready to shoot.
Yeah.
Be quiet. Be patient, because this shit doesn't happen in a matter of, an hour. Be patient, be still, and just wait and try to stay calm. All right, so I have another story. My son, my youngest boy, his first buck, he killed a little 7-pointer. And I remember it coming through the field, and I said, there was a buck and a doe out there. And I said, son, which one do you want to shoot? I already knew the answer. He said, Dad, I want to shoot the buck. Okay. So I told him, I said, take your time, squeeze the trigger. He shoots. I see the deer mule kick. I knew it was a good shot. I saw the deer fall down in the field. I look over at my son, and he is literally shivering. I mean, he looked like somebody that was standing at the North Pole with a crop top and a booty shorts on. I mean, he was just shivering. And I'm like, buddy, you okay? He said, yeah, Dad. He said, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I said, are you all right? He said, Dad, are you supposed to shake like this? And I said, yes, sir, you are. I said, the day you don't shake is the day you stop hunting, because it's no longer fun. And he said, well, Dad, you don't shake. I said, oh, yes, I do, son. The day you stop shaking after you harvest an animal is the day you stop hunting, because it's no longer fun. It's just a job.
Wow.
And I still get tore up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, Johnny, just while you're on, Todd, evening. Good to have you on board. Thanks very much for the comments. Hope you're doing well. You got your old mucker here with us. So if you want to drop us a couple of comments, Todd, by all means, please do so. Just a quick question then, Johnny. So how big in West Virginia, how many people are you talking about in terms of when it's hunting season starts? How many people are there that go out? I mean, are you talking like tens of thousands of people or just sort of thousands?
Honestly, I don't know the numbers. I really don't. I mean, I know right now our number, if you look at the DNR, our numbers are down as far as hunters go. I don't know the specifics, but I do know that our numbers are down here in Virginia, and I think a lot of that has to do with technology.
Right.
Kids are not getting out like they used to.
Yeah.
West Virginia, there wasn't a whole lot to do. Back then, unless you had a satellite, you didn't have TV. You had one station. You didn't have cell phones. So pretty much, I've always said this comment back when I was growing up in West Virginia, there were only a few things to do, and that was hunt, fish, and that was about all there was to do in West Virginia back then.
Brilliant.
And I'm guessing, like, if you need to be patient to do the hunting and the fishing, you can't do that third one then while you're waiting. No.
No, you can't do that. I mean, you can. You may not see anything, but you can.
Just a question then about sort of where you sort of lay up just to sort of to wait, I suppose, because you obviously, I mean, on TV, obviously being over in the UK, we don't do this. We can only go on, what you sort of see on TV, documentaries and stuff. In terms of sort of the smell of these animals, is there a case of, do you know the prevailing winds and where can they smell you? And that means that they don't come near you. And therefore, do you need to have a little bit of knowledge just about the topography of the area and everything else in terms of where's the best place to go?
Oh, you absolutely have to know your area. A whole lot of what we call scouting. You go out and you look for deer sign. Deer they will rub their antlers on a tree to mark their territory. They leave their scent. You got to look at trails, stuff like that. Absolutely, knowing that topography and knowing the animal and where they travel is 100% what you need to do. I've been fortunate, the area that I hunt now, this farm, I've hunted it for 20 years. I don't have to go out there and spend hours of scouting because I know the property well enough that I know where the deer are going to be most of the time. Now, they have fooled me before, and absolutely, deer can smell you, and they have excellent eyesight. Now, the deer, the way I understand it, are colorblind. So like if you see hunters that out there in a blaze orange vest, well, they're not going to see the blaze orange. They're just going to see a dark shadow blob right there.
Yeah.
But smelling, oh yeah, that's their number one defense is their smell.
Yeah.
And turkey, totally opposite. They can't smell shit, but they have tremendous eyesight. If turkey could smell, I don't think we would ever kill a turkey because their eyesight is uncanny. It's unbelievable what they can see and how quick that can pick you out on a slight movement.
Wow. Well, we got a question from Todd for you then, dude. He says, question for Simo. If you grew up without Sunday hunting and one day they implemented it, would you have mixed feelings?
About mixed feelings about what? I don't understand. I don't understand his question.
Well,
if you grew up without Sunday hunting and one day they implemented it, oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that Virginia implemented Sunday hunting because we have Sunday hunting here now.
Right.
I was so glad because for the past 20 years I've done 410s, which means I work 4 days, 10 hours a day, and I've always had off on Friday. So I would get up on Friday and Saturday to hunt. Like I said, they call us weekend warriors, where that's the only time we can hunt is on the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, when Virginia established the Sunday hunting, oh, I was all for it. I mean, 100% for it. That gives me another day to hunt.
Yeah. Well, just
I
question. Oh, go on. Sorry, no, go on, Johnny.
No, I hope, Todd, that answers your question, brother.
And if it doesn't, then just poses another one. Just a question, and I suppose, well, two questions really. One question is, the hunting that you've sort of spoken about seems quite static, and you wait for the bucks effectively to sort of come past you. You see on various TV documentaries or films or whatever, where people will actually follow and go hunting and follow a particular animal. Is that something that you do, or are you very much more just wait? So you lay down, wait for them to come to you as such?
Yeah, I pretty much, I have my stands. I have probably 3 or 4 different stands on this farm that I hunt, depending on the wind, depending whether it's an evening hunt or a morning hunt, where I'm going to sit. It's such a small property. Excuse me. It's such a small property that I hunt. I'm going to say maybe 65 acres.
Right.
I don't necessarily get up and they call that stalking a deer or still hunting.
Yeah.
But there, if you got a tract of land where you can do that, absolutely. I mean, when I've hunted out before, I've tried to, still hunt or, stalk a deer. I've never had success at it. So I'll just sit down and wait for him to come to me.
Wow. And then,
but
go on, Johnny.
But there are people out there that are very successful at that. And the best time to do that is when there's snow on the ground. Well, it's been so long since we've had snow on the ground here during rifle season. I couldn't tell you how long it's been, but I know people are successful hunting that way.
Yeah. And then the next question was, and you mentioned sort of rifle season and rifle hunting a lot, but you also mentioned that there was bow season. Have you tried? Do you use bow, or are you just sort of rifle, or you done both?
No, I do all three. I started off. I've always bow hunted. I bow hunted with the compound bow for probably 7 years before I ever killed my first deer. That's a different. Yeah, that's a different animal right there. I mean, you've got to practice. That deer's got to be within. Back then when I started, 25, 35 yards would be your limit.
Wow.
And well, now with the shoulder injury that I have, I actually use a crossbow now.
Yeah.
So I do the whole archery, I do the muzzle loader, and then rifle season. And then after rifle season, late muzzle loader season will come back in, and then late bow season will come back in as well. So it's usually October to January is when our hunting seasons are.
Oh, okay. Which one do you prefer?
Oh, a rifle. Give me the rifle. I have, I'm all for what's the best options I have to put meat in my freezer. And that's with a rifle. I mean, I can reach my longest shot with my rifle is 321 yards.
Right.
And I love those long shots. I'll take them, and I'm pretty damn successful at it. Normally, don't get me wrong, I have missed before. I've missed my share of big damn deer. So I'm not sitting here bragging and saying I don't miss the bullshit. I've missed plenty.
And do you think you get lots of hunters that say, oh, I never miss this? No, bullshit. I bet you do.
Oh yeah, you got them out there. I don't give a damn. I'll tell you when I miss. Like I just said a little bit ago, I told y'all I shot my damn blind arm. I don't give a damn. I don't sugarcoat nothing.
So is that the fundamental difference then, D, between bow hunting and rifle hunting? Is that the distance you have to be? So with a bow you got to be a lot closer. Is there any other differences, dude?
Accuracy, practice. Like you all know Todd, you all the time seeing Todd at the range with his bow in his hand.
Yeah.
Practice with a bow, and you got to practice with a crossbow too, because the first year I had a crossbow, I missed the biggest deer to date that I've ever shot at. Because I thought, oh, I got a crossbow. It's a lot faster. I don't have to be as accurate because it's a crossbow. Nope, I missed that sucker sure as shit the first night I had it. And it ended up being a 14-pointer, and it was a beautiful deer. And the reason I know that because the guy on the neighboring property ended up shooting it during muzzleloader season, and I knew it was the same deer because he was a monster. But yeah, bow, absolutely. You just have to practice and be consistent. Crossbow, you still need to practice and be consistent. Muzzleloader, you got to know your weapon. Make sure you shoot it. Make sure it's on. And then same with the rifle. Just practice. Make sure it's dead set on the money, and you're good.
Have you ever hunted with Todd? You might have told us before or not. Have you actually ever hunted with Todd?
We have not, but we're going to change that soon. We have not. We've talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys do, because obviously it's something that you both do, and you obviously you both love doing. So from over here in the UK, just sending out big hopes that you managed to get to do that, because for you two guys that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, we have definitely discussed it. I'll try to get him in this year during spring, or next year when spring gobbler season comes in. Yeah. I'd love to get him out there at the farm, because we have a ton of turkey out there.
Dude, you're never going to hear the end of it if he puts one down and you don't.
You know what though? I'm okay with that. Seriously, I'm okay with that. Honestly, if I take someone hunting with me, if I take them to my spot, I am just as tickled to see them shoot that animal than I would be. Yeah. I have a video on my Instagram, and he was one of my guests, my buddy Colby Shiflett. I've hunted with him since 2005. The year I killed that 11-pointer, he started hunting with me on that farm. So we've been hunting together since 2005, and he had never killed a turkey. It was I think it was last year or the year before, I took him turkey hunting, and I have a whole video of it on my Instagram, and he killed his first turkey. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you can hear the excitement in my voice on that, on the video. I was just as happy for him as if I would have pulled the trigger.
Fair play. And does that say a lot then about hunting culture in the US then, dude? Is there that level of camaraderie, and is it still as popular as it was?
Yeah, that's for me, that's where it's at. Killing, harvesting an animal is a bonus, but anytime you can get into the woods and spend time with your friend, a family member, and just hanging out, whether it's a successful hunt or not, that's what I remember. You always remember, your grandfather, your old man, and your uncles, they come back and they've got a big deer in the back of their truck or a doe. Well, that's when everybody hung around and, everybody processed the deer. You skin it out, you cut it up, you process it. And that's just where the stories come from. And, again, that's, kind of where we were wanting to take the podcast. We just want to get back to having people that we may not ever meet before ever, but we still have that connection. I've had people on the podcast that I still talk to now every day. I may never meet him ever. I mean, we got one guy, Ty, he's out of Canada. I may never meet Ty, but that's how me and Todd met. We finally met in PA, through the podcast and all that stuff. And like Shiner and Titty, they were the first ones that got me listening to podcasts, period. And that was Titty and Shiner. And then when Shiner had health issues here a few years back, and I told my wife, I said, if this comes back as the nasty C word, I'm going to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And ended up, I flew my ass to Oklahoma, and that was the first time I'd ever met Titty and Shiner.
Yeah.
And this whole podcast thing, I would have never met you guys if it wasn't for the podcast. So, podcast, hunting, dude, it's just a way to meet some pretty cool ass people.
Yeah.
And I've said it on numerous of our own podcasts. That's absolutely the reason why. Certainly why I do it. I do it twofold, really, to meet pretty cool people like yourself and to learn lots of shit about stuff I don't know about. And that's why I do it. And long may it continue.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, dude. So taking it back to hunting then there a little bit, dude. So
Okay.
in terms of the rural, is there a difference in the rural attitude to hunting and to like an urban approach to it, dude?
Well, like here in the city, like I said, we have urban archery season open now, where I can actually go in my backyard and shoot a deer right now if I wanted to, because the hunting season is in. But you gotta think about the big picture. If I shoot a deer out of my backyard, it might run up into Karen's backyard up the street and fall dead.
Yeah.
Well, chances of me going up there and retrieving that deer are not going to be very good with Karen. So, unless I can be, like we have a mountain, a small mountain right here behind my house. But unfortunately, there's no hunting on that. But if I had somewhere like that the houses weren't around me, we live in a pretty busy neighborhood. We got houses, everywhere. If I could get into the woods somewhere in the city, then yeah, I would do that. But me going out here in my backyard and shooting one is probably not going to happen, because you can only use a bow here in the city limits. You can't use a rifle. You can't use a muzzle loader here in the city limits. It's bow hunting only. You cannot discharge a firearm in the city limits.
That makes sense.
And in terms of the general, I say the general populace within the city, is hunting sort of frowned upon more so than it would be in the rural areas. So in the big city, if you said, "Oh, I hunt," would people sort of scoff and turn their nose up and go, "Oh, you don't do that, do you? That's unethical," or whatever the phrase would be. Whereas in the rural areas, it's like, "Yeah, you out you go, you crack on."
Big difference. Yep. How can I say this without pissing off anybody in my city limits? We're
just
where I live at. They're pretty freaking liberal. So yeah, that's kind of frowned on here in the city. You got a lot more people here in the city that would frown on it than you get out into the county, and they're like, yeah, absolutely. And then my argument is always, because I had a lady at the Exxon up here. She was big time liberal. Don't hurt the animal. She goes, did you catch anything today? I said, no, ma'am. I tried, but some bitches run too fast. I can't catch them. But anyway, I didn't shoot nothing, if that's what you mean. That's the thing. Everybody always wants to, did you catch anything? Well, hell no, I can't catch it. They run too fast.
But I bet those people, the first people, that you go to some very nice restaurants and you'll get a certain type of meat. It's like, well, how do you think that? It's like, come on, like, don't be so two-faced. You can't have to sit there and eat the meat, but you frown upon it. Come on.
And well, the argument is, and me and this particular lady, we had this discussion one day, and I'm like, you don't understand. I said, I am a conservationist. If I'm not out there trying to control this herd, these deer are going to end up being overpopulated. They're going to end up inbreeding, dying of diseases, and you're going to have more vehicle accidents because there's going to be so many deer in the population. So that's always my argument. I love to eat deer, but I'm still doing my part to take care of a population. That if it gets too populated, then you're really going to have, that deer is going to suffer way more from starvation or disease than me doing an ethical shot and that deer dropping.
Yeah.
That's always been my argument with them. I understand people's feelings. I get it. Deer are beautiful. I post shit every week of the deer that I have in my neighborhood. They're beautiful to watch. But if you don't control that population, they're going to end up suffering in the long run.
Yeah. I know, like when Shiner talks about it as well, he's talked in the past, and it's almost like a religious experience, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're thanking God, aren't you, for the food that goes into your freezer on your table when you put down a deer.
Mm-hmm. I do every time. Anytime I'm successful on a deer, the first thing I do is pray over that animal. I thank the Lord for allowing me to make an ethical shot, and I thank that animal for giving me its life and putting food on my table. Absolutely. I do it every time. I've done it for years.
No. God, do you want to do one out for Todd, dude?
Well, yeah. So Todd just made, so deer management is so crucial in our world. It's important for all hunters and non-hunters. So basically, just backing up exactly what you've just said there is that actually, there is a reason. It's not just senseless killing of animals. There is a reason why that happens.
Yeah,
100%. Yep.
See, I've started a few emails in my life, deer management, but that's a bad pun, and
that was horrendous, dude.
That was bad.
Excuse me.
I'm curious, and so 15 years I was vegetarian. No comments, thank you, Johnny. But yeah, 15 years. 15 years I was vegetarian, and I always wonder, I spoke to my cousin Bo about maybe one day I'll go hunting with him in Texas because they have a place out there. I'm not entirely sure where it is. I forget what it's called, but I know Bo mispronounced it last time and never lived it down. He'll thank me for bringing that back up. But I wonder do you think you could put one down, dude? Do you think you could do it? Do you think you could pull the trigger?
Could I? Yes. Would I have the skills or the ability, the aim or the shot? But I've got no idea. I think I probably could pull the trigger to kill one. Yeah. I don't think I would be able to just because of the skill required potentially to do it, unless I went, I say spend a month in Johnny Simo camp and sort of, he teaches me all the way over what was about shooting and stuff. But because I think there would be, obviously there is a skill, there is a skill level in terms of sort of what you do. But I think I probably could. I don't think I would. I don't think I'd be there thinking, oh, is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? Should I or shouldn't I? I think I probably could. Yeah. What about you?
Don't know, dude.
Really?
I don't know. Like I say,
when it looks you in the eyes, you'd be like, no, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean the old field to table movement. I support that, dude. The less hands that you've had on on the things you're going to put in your mouth and in your system, I get it. It makes a lot more sense. But I don't know. There's a degree of separation now in what I'm picking up from the supermarket, what I'm cooking. To see it there live, I don't know how comfortable I am with that, dude. And I don't know. I don't know if it's a moral argument or just that I'm a bit of a wuss. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't hunt. Never have. Unlikely to, if I'm honest. I mean, you look at. I don't know. You potentially might go on safari and you see people hunting and I'm not necessarily saying you big trophy hunters as such, but you see hunts going on. Could I do it? Possibly. I reckon I probably could. Would I want to? I don't know. If I went on a hunt and that was the reason I was going, probably.
Yeah. What's your take on that, Johnny?
I get the moral aspect of it because I'm not going to lie. The older I'm getting, it's getting a little harder for me to pull the trigger sometimes because, excuse me, like I said, I get to watch these deer here in my backyard and all that. But at the end of the day, I'm still putting food on my table. Yeah. It's better than anything you can buy at the store. But I get what you're saying, Beans. It's getting harder for me year to year. I actually, here a couple of years ago when I lost both of my farms, I didn't hunt one year. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sell my damn stuff and buy me a camera and go out and photograph them.
Yeah.
I seriously contemplated that, but then I also remembered photographing is not putting food on my table. So
no,
and I like jerky.
and Todd's just commented there. Harvesting an animal you'll consume is a euphoric experience. The moment you get to serve that to your family and you all enjoy it together is one of the realest moments you'll ever have. The appreciation for that animal amplifies right there at the table. So again, it's that providing for your family, isn't it? And it's that feeling. And as I say, could I? Yeah, probably. Would I? I probably never will. Have I? No, I haven't.
No. I think you'll be okay, dude, because you've got a pretty good hand-eye coordination. So I think you've got a little bit. You'd be one up from the start, certainly on me, anyway, dude. So Johnny, tell us a little bit about your podcast now. What's up next? I know you're recording later tonight. In fact, that's how dedicated this man is. He's doing it on a recording.
Yeah.
Now. So what's coming up next for the average Joes?
We just launched episode 74 yesterday. Oh, what's today? Yeah, today's Friday. Excuse me, Friday. So the next episode obviously will be We have a guest, Ron Menser from Menser Outdoors. That's who we're recording. That's who we recorded with last week. Tonight I have a gentleman who owns the Accessible Hunter. He's a paraplegic that he hunts. He loves hunting, and he's, disabled. He's in a motorized wheelchair. I've known Greg Trainer for a long time, so he's our guest tonight. That's what's going on, man. It like I said, it's been a fun daggone time, and been meeting some cool ass people for it, doing this stuff. So we're having a ball.
That's good. That's good. And given the nature of your podcast, like we know that Todd, when he did his, he upset some people at Peter. Do you ever get any?
Really?
He does like us to mention that. I believe that. I really believe.
Oh
that.
yeah.
Do you get much negative feedback on it, or are people just more supportive because those are the people that listen to it?
No, we don't get much negative feedback. I mean, I've got my emails open all the time. I don't really get any negative feedback. I mean, most of the people that are going to listen to our podcast, they're like-minded people.
Yes.
The only time we've ever gotten any negative comments were when we got on there and got political one time, and you're always going to get those arguments. So we try to stay out of the politics most of the time, and then we just keep it all about hunting, fishing, trapping. I don't care if it's a moose. I don't care if it's elk, turtle. It doesn't matter. We just want to hear the stories, whether it be hunting, fishing, trapping. It's all, and it's like I said, we've been all around the table, and we've had, like I said, we're having a ball with it.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, question for me, in terms of when you go out hunting, are there any other sort of animals that you would hunt as opposed to sort of deer? So when you're out, if you're specifically looking for deer, but then I don't know, an elk or whatever came across, would you hunt that? Do you need separate licenses for that? Is there a catch-all license that allows you to do whatever?
Yeah, here in my area of Virginia, we don't have elk. All right. Well, I mean, Virginia does have elk, minor, small populations. I can kill an elk if one happens to come by, and I just have to use a buck tag. But that's never going to happen in my area. We don't have elk. But there is an animal that I will absolutely, I don't care if it's prime time in the morning, prime time in the evening, when that's when the deer are supposed to come out. If I see a coyote, I'm going to shoot it every time. I'll shoot that coyote and not worry about if I screw up a deer hunt or not. I will shoot that coyote every time.
Wow.
They will wreak havoc on your fawn population and your turkey poults, your young turkey. They're turkey poults, They will wreak havoc on a turkey population. So that is one thing. I don't care if I'm on a deer hunt, and like I said, it's the last 30 minutes of daylight. If I see a coyote, I'm going to bust him.
Wow. And in terms of sort of hunts that you might then use for food, and excuse the ignorance, but over here you might get sort of hare or rabbit or things like that. Do you get them and can you sort of freely hunt them where you guys are?
No, they're actually, I don't do a whole lot of small game hunting, but they do actually have seasons for that, for squirrel, for rabbit, stuff like that. There's a bobcat season. So you have to pay attention to. Like I said, I don't go out and do much of that unless dove. Dove hunting is real big around here. The bird, dove, that's real big around here. And I've never been dove hunting. I've had it many a times, but I've never actually been dove hunting or duck hunting. That's real big around here too.
Wow.
Oh, cool. There you go, dude. I mean, dove hunting surprises me. They must be quite hard to hunt because they're only little things, aren't they?
Yeah, oh yeah, they're tiny, but I'm gonna tell you what, they're very tasty.
Oh, yeah,
tasty.
Dude.
I'm a dove. Good.
Oh, they're good. Yeah, do some jalapeno dove poppers. Whew, yeah, they'll melt your mouth.
Yeah. Never had that.
No. And again, so you over here you said you would get a pheasant. Again you get sort of partridge or dove or sort of that sort of support. Certainly, pheasant would be one that would be potentially sort of and caught and killed, and pheasant is very pleasant.
So what about quail? Goes well with ale.
Quail and ale.
Hey, what better combination?
I tell you what.
That's right.
So then, dude, we normally wrap these episodes around about the hour. We're conscious that you want to be recording your podcast and you want a bit of peace and quiet in between. But before that, dude, I got one final question from me. I'm sure guys will have a question for you too, dude. What's the biggest lesson that the hunting has taught you?
Enjoy. Just enjoy being out there. There's nothing better than getting to your tree stand a half hour, 45 minutes before it gets light, total darkness, and you just sit there. You can reflect on everything that's going on in your life, and then when the sun comes up and you watch and get to hear the woods come alive, it's a peace. I mean, there's nothing better than that. I'm not worried about anything. It's a peace for me. I guess that would be my best thing. It's the peace. And then again, if you're with a friend, then you get that camaraderie. If they are successful, even if we're not, we when you meet back up, you get to discuss your morning hunt. What'd you see? What'd you hear? Whatever. I mean, that's the best way I could describe it.
Wow,
that's cool.
And just one last question from me. What would be your biggest hunting regret? Either a place that you've never hunted that you wish to, or one that got away, or what would be the biggest regret if you were to look back? I say look back now as such, in terms of something you have done that you wish you hadn't, or vice versa.
Honestly, the only regret I would have is not being more patient a couple times on some of my shots.
Right.
That would be my only regret, because you get shaken and you throw up the gun, and if you'd have taken just a little bit more time, you may have gotten that deer. But when you said about a hunt that I would like to do, I tell you right now, I know it's never going to happen. I would love to kill an elk for one. That may be possible, but there's a hunt that, if I could do it, I would love to get to New Zealand and hunt a red stag.
Wow.
Those things are massive. And that would be a cool ass hunting trip right there. Now that I know I'm never going to do, but an elk may not be so far out of the realm. I don't know yet. We'll see in a couple years.
Well, I'm wishing you all the best in that. And you know what? I don't know whether you play the state lottery or whatever, but if your lucky numbers come in, then maybe a trip to New Zealand will be one of the top on the list.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Never say never. So for our listeners and for anybody else joining us for this episode, do you want to tell people where you can find your podcast?
Average Joe's Hunting Podcast on Instagram. And you can find me at Johnny Simonetti on Instagram, Facebook, and that's about it. But Average Joe's Hunting Podcast.
Yeah. And I guess that's on all the platforms, isn't it? I was listening to it on Spotify earlier today.
Oh, yeah, Spotify and Apple Podcasts is where we drop our episodes at. And now, as far as the social media, I'm strictly on Instagram. It got to be too much. I'm trying to keep up with too much stuff, trying to do Facebook and all this other crap. So it's just Instagram for Average Joe's Hunting Podcast.
No, absolutely. So yeah, cheers, Johnny. Really, really appreciate you, for freeing up an hour for us on a Sunday afternoon, which is, we know is a busy one, because I know you sent me some pictures you in your shop earlier working on a rifle, which I have to say was looking very, very nice. I'd like to see the finished product when that's all done, dude. So for us, we want to say thank you very much, and we wish you all the best, and hopefully we won't leave it another 3 years before we have you on again. Any final thoughts, Gaza?
No, just echo what you've just said there. It's been way too long since we've had Johnny on from the last time, and it absolutely won't be 3 years until we have him on again. So, yeah, all you out there in listener land, I hope everything's all good with it. And until the next time, we'll be talking about something completely different.
Indeed. So long.